Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications whenever we share a video. Over the last couple of weeks, we talked about the coronavirus and its effects on Apple's productions for new phones in 2020. And it seems as though revenue for the March quarter is going to fall short because of the virus, and production delays might start slipping into April for new 2020 iPhones. But for those of you who want to see the new iPhone SE 2 or the iPhone 9 or whatever the name might be, it seems as if that production might still be on track. When Apple usually hosts a spring event, history indicates that those events are held in March, and some rumors point to an end of March event with the low-cost iPhone launching on April 3rd. In addition to the low-cost iPhone, we might even see the release of a few new products like a new 2020 iPad Pro, an updated 13-inch MacBook Pro, and there's even some wildcard rumors for the first half of 2020, which would include a MacBook Air update, Apple's Tile-like AirTags item tracker thing, and perhaps a wireless charging mat, but no, not AirPower. Now, going back to the low-cost iPhone, there has been a new leak which surfaced on TikTok, so there are many reasons to take this with a grain of salt, but it does show off a new iPhone that has a very different design than what we've been expecting for the budget iPhone. The iPhone in the image features thick top and bottom bezels, a Touch ID home button, and a seafoam green color, but most notably, it also has an iPhone 4 style design, which is not at all in line with the current rumors or what we're expecting. Everything we've heard about the low-cost iPhone right now suggests it's going to be physically identical to the iPhone 8, but with upgraded internals like a new A13 processor, which makes sense given its price tag. I actually didn't know that there are custom casings available to change the look of older iPhones, and so it is possible that that's what we are actually seeing here because you can do that. But if this was the new $399 rumored low-cost iPhone, I'd be really on board with this design. I really do like the iPhone 4 or the new iPad Pro style frame that we have. And for some reason, I would love to see that on this iPhone, but I'd also love to know your thoughts. Do you prefer this design that you see in this video or an identical iPhone 8 with upgraded specs? Apple also seeded beta 2 of 13.4, and although we didn't do a video on it this time around, there are some new features that we can touch on, so let's just do that now. Inside of the TV app, Apple added a number of new options for controlling data downloads and streaming. So if you want to download Apple TV Plus shows and you're streaming those shows or movies, you can kind of adjust how that affects your data when you're streaming with your mobile carrier. And the Mail toolbar received yet another tweak. This time removes the flagged icon altogether and adds a compose mail button to the far right, and then bumps that reply button, which was in that spot, one spot over to the left. Exciting things, I know. And finally, we talked about the car key feature that was found in the first beta last week. And beta 2 gives us a little bit more information on how users can actually share digital keys with family members or friends who might need to borrow their car. This can all be done by a single iMessage, kind of like paying somebody via Apple Pay in iMessage. You can just send your car key to somebody that might need to borrow your car in an iMessage. Isn't technology just great? When iOS 14 hits later this year, it seems as if Apple is considering loosening up the leash that it has on some third-party restrictions. What I mean by this is users might be able to finally set third-party web browsers and mail apps as default apps over the stock Mail and Safari app that we have right now, which is a feature that's been available since I can remember on Android and something that is greatly missing on iOS. Even though most of Apple's stock apps are better than third-party options out there, in my opinion, for Chrome users, being able to have that as the default on their iPhone is huge. In even more surprising moves, it seems as if Apple may allow Spotify to be the default music service app on HomePod and in iOS 14. Big news here for Spotify owners like myself and people who own Apple products and want to be able to use Spotify over the music app. Earlier this week, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip orders were starting to arrive to people who ordered them. And we did a deeper dive when we got our unit and a longer hands-on and first impressions with the phone, using it in the real world, which I'll leave linked in the card in the top right corner. But one user reported that their unit cracked along the crease when they first unfolded and folded it, perhaps due to cold weather. Samsung was also being questioned about whether or not the Z Flip actually featured folding glass, or if the display was plastic just like the Galaxy Fold. And we did cover all of that in the video that I just mentioned that we did earlier this week. But to sum it all up, it's a layer of glass underneath a plastic film layer on top that's very susceptible to scratches still. So if you order a Z Flip, be careful because you can definitely scratch your phone even with your fingertip. And finally, some last little news stories that I came across this week. Google is experimenting with tap gestures on the back of its phones to launch into specific apps or settings, which is definitely interesting, and I'm curious to see if that's something that we can customize. So if my phone was on my desk and I wanted to launch into the camera app, I'm assuming that's gonna be something that they're gonna do already, but what if I wanted to launch into YouTube or something just by double tapping the back of my phone? That could be useful, I guess, but nevertheless, I'm excited to see where that goes. And also, another interesting move, Microsoft released an Office app, which basically combines all of the Office apps like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel all into one app, which I'm annoyed that we didn't have this before, but now you just open up the Microsoft Office app and you have access to all three full-fledged apps in one, which is great news. So that's it. These are our stories for the week. Would love to know your thoughts on everything we just touched on, and if there's something that we missed, go ahead and let us know in the comment section down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.